Marathon Season 2 is insane, it has changed the game forever, and I can't stand YouTube titles. It's been a few days, maybe even a week, since Season 2 started. I've played about 40 hours of it, got a pretty good taste of it, and this is a Season 2 review. So let's start with the kind of like the biggest piece of this season's content, which is Dire Marsh Night, or Night Marsh, or Narsh, however you like to call it. At first I thought that Night Marsh was just gonna be Dire Marsh, but at night, and you know, we might have new AIs to fight, like the zombie things and stuff. But really, it's pretty much a completely new map. Like, the way it plays is completely different than the way normal Dire Marsh plays. New map events, mechanics, and of course, upper complex. It's basically a pinwheel kinda point of interest, though a lot harder to get into than pinwheel is, and you kind of have to worry about time. It takes a while to get to the loot room, especially with how these buttons can be sneaky, and sometimes it takes like 5 minutes to find the last one that you need to advance to the next room. I've definitely not lost like a couple of runs because I couldn't find one panel. The loot in Upper Complex was pretty insane in the beginning, but it got nerfed like a few days into the season. I haven't done Night Marsh since then, so I don't know how bad or good the loot is now. But from what I've heard, it's not nearly as good. And I'm not really a fan of how Bungie makes things OP and then they nerf it to a point where it's kind of like useless. This has happened with certain guns, like the Waster shotgun, as well as the knife. A lot of people are mad about this because, you know, if you played early and you played a lot, you got really jacked very quickly. You know, if you didn't abuse that, you fell behind. Now, when it comes to PvP on Night Marsh, I expected people would be ratting like never before, but that hasn't really been my experience. And actually playing Night Marsh has been kind of chill because it's night. I've been able to just run around in the open without being scared of getting shot. As long as you don't have your flashlight on, you're pretty difficult to spot. And the new AIs are pretty scary, and I've been spooked by those ghost things pretty big time. Overall, I think Night Marsh is pretty cool. Like I said, it completely changes the way that the map feels and plays. And even though it's not a new map, it kind of feels like it is. Now, the free kit mode, like the supposed PvE mode, has been kind of interesting. I don't know if Bungie thought that one through, because this mode was very abusable in the beginning. People were running triple triage, rushing through the map and through Upper Complex without like the danger of other players. Yes, I know that rooks are on the map, they spawn into Night Marsh, but I've done quite a good amount of sponsored kit runs on Night Marsh. I've actually never seen a single rook. Upper Complex having really good loot combined with this PvE mode not being separate from the actual game kind of ruined early game this season. I know that Bungie needs to somehow get new players into the game. You know, there's this free week, and so they wanted people to get easy loot and get hooked on the game, I guess. Because of that, people already had like purple and gold shields on day 2. That's not the only thing to blame for it. They also gave us these like free kits, blue and purple free kits, that is. And I think that was a big mistake. I don't think there's any point in doing that. You just accelerate the season. I mean, there was basically no early game this season. You could just log in and put your purple free kit on, go in with a purple shield and everything, you know. And I just think that's boring. They should never do this again. They should never give us purple free kits at the beginning of a season. I actually didn't even use my free kits in the beginning because I was just playing some solos while waiting for my friends to come back to the game for the new season, because I was going to use those free kits while playing with them. I mean, the game's just much more fun when you start with kind of like nothing and you use green shields, green guns, and then work your way up. So yeah, I mean, sadly this season we did not have early game and that early game progression. Hopefully next season Bungie will not make the same mistake. However, I have to say, even if they didn't make Night Marsh loot overtuned, and if we didn't have that free kit mode where you can just get all the loot without any danger, I fear that people would still be almost just as jacked, because everybody knows where to get loot, and you can access outposts from level 12, which is like you get that in an hour. I'm not exactly sure what Bungie can do in the next season to make sure that early game doesn't get skipped. Perhaps they should level gate outpost a little bit. I don't know, at least level 30. That is low too, but you know. And even if they did that, there is now pretty good loot on both Perimeter and Dire Marsh. Ever since they added the dragon into the game, you can get purple stuff from that. So I don't know, maybe early game is just never gonna be a thing again. Next up is Cradle and Progression. The Cradle is the new system, new progression system in Season 2. But at the same time, it isn't really anything new, anything that we didn't actually have last season already. They just took the upgrades from traders and put them into a new system. Those upgrades required, you know, barter items, and now they require just any item. You feed your items to the worms and you get this energy, which you use to level up the Cradle. I do think this is a better way of doing it than the way we had last season, and I'm glad that we cannot max out every stat. I believe we can max out 4 stats, which gives the game this kind of like RPG build crafting aspect. Depending on which character or shell you play, you want to change up your Cradle to best suit that shell. Now, as for overall progression, when it comes to like faction leveling and upgrades, it has been speeded up quite a bit. To be completely fair, last season getting faction upgrades was very painful, and so was leveling the factions. This season they've introduced many more ways to get reputation. Some factions do seem to level faster than the others, and the barter items or upgrade items seem to be dropping in bigger quantities, at least when it comes to lower rarity items. Because last season I've never seen a stack of 7 green salvage, for example. Whereas this season I see it all the time. I think the pacing for faction progression at the moment, as well as the Cradle, is pretty good. Like I said, last season was a little bit miserable. I mean, you could argue that maybe it's a little bit too fast now. Some people have already maxed out factions, but those people also play a lot. They've probably put in like 10 plus hours a day ever since the season started. I think for the average player, it would still take about probably 1 month for them to get everything done, which is not bad in my opinion. You have to remember that Marathon is a seasonal game. It's a game that you want to play at the start of a wipe, do everything new, level up everything there is, probably take a break until next wipe. So I don't think that progression being sped up to even to this extent is that bad for the game, or even bad at all. I think if a season lasts for 3 months and it takes 1 month to do everything for the average player, I think that's pretty good. And by the way, that is just an estimate. We don't know yet how long it'll take for the average player to level up all the factions and do the compiler and all that, but 1 month is just my guess. Now, when it comes to quests, pretty much the entire community thought that we were going to get a new set of quests. Like if you played season 1, they weren't going to make you do these same quest lines, but then they kind of did. You still have to do the exact same quest lines as last season, but I noticed that the quest objectives are not the same. I've been playing with a friend that I played with last season, and he brought in a friend who is new to the game. When we played trios, we were all on the same quest, but we didn't all have the same objectives. Me and the guy who played season 1, we had the same objectives. The third guy who was new to the game, he had the old objective from season 1. I also noticed that some quests have been made easier. For example, there are quests that required you to go to bio-research on Dire Marsh and then go to quarantine, but now that same quest requires you to just go to bio-research. Another quest that required you to go to flight control on outpost and then go to orientation now requires you to just go to orientation. And the infamous Sekiguchi quest that requires you to inject yourself with the symbiont and then run to every single POI on the map, and there's 7 of them, now requires you to run to only 3 POIs. Overall, questing has been made a lot easier than it was last season. Not that it was like super hard, but you know, certain quests were just kind of annoying to do. I'm just sad that we didn't get new quest dialogues. They did add new quests to the game. There's this new quest line with like Traxxas versus Maida, this thing on Night Marsh. I've not completed it yet. I'm just worried that if they keep adding quests every season, eventually there will be too many quests in the game, and it might not even be feasible to do them all. And like I said earlier, I thought they would just replace the Season 1 quests with a new set of Season 2 quests, and that would happen each season. This season also brought 2 new guns to the game, the D54 pistol and the KKV-9 SMG. I personally prefer the feel of the KKV-9, the way it sounds, how fast it shoots and all that, but sadly it is not the superior gun. The D54 pistol is currently meta, it is very good, fun to use, and regardless of how broken it is, I don't want it to get nerfed. Something will always be more broken than the other things. There will always be a meta gun, but as long as it's fun, I don't think it should be nerfed. We had the shotgun meta in the beginning, the waster shotgun. It was boring. We also had thermal snipers. That was boring. You just die without even seeing the enemy player. The grenade spam meta, boring, unplayable. But with this pistol, I don't feel like the game is unplayable, regardless of the fact that this pistol is very strong. And I just want to say, the new SMG is a gun from OG Marathon, specifically Marathon Infinity. Well, not quite, since that one was called KKV-7. So the KKV-9 is like a newer version of it, but still basically the same gun. And it's nice to see that Bungie is adding more guns from OG Marathon into the game. When it comes to the new shell, Sentinel, I don't really have much to say about it. I played it for one raid and decided it just wasn't my type of shell. My friend has been maining it. He likes it a lot, and according to him, the Sentinel is very good, but it does nothing. He says that the snare mine and defender system abilities are useless, but in a good way. Whenever you use a snare mine, it is hard to actually get value out of it, to proc it, because according to him, people don't push into the snare mine, but that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stop people from pushing you. And when it comes to the ultimate ability, he struggles to get value out of it, because whenever he uses it, people don't throw grenades. But at the same time, that's exactly what the ability is supposed to do, to stop people from throwing grenades at you. He also says that the Sentinel is a very, very well balanced shell, in a sense that it is both an offensive and defensive shell. Now, final thoughts on Season 2, or on the first week of Season 2. I think the game has improved a lot in a lot of ways. Bungie has addressed many things, even the smaller things. For example, we can now select multiple items in stash to sell or feed to the worms. And you don't understand how much I wanted this in Season 1. I'm not about to praise them for this or anything. This is something that should have been in the game from the start. But yeah, there's so many small things that they've added or fixed. Many quality of life improvements. One thing I can't forget to mention is the changes to key templates. They did exactly what we wanted. Key templates are no longer fragile. Now they have different objectives. I like most of the changes, as well as the new content. The current meta is fun, like I said earlier. The only complaint about this season, and I mean really the only complaint, is how quickly you were able to get to late game gear. Other than that, the game is much more enjoyable than it was in Season 1. Not that Season 1 was horrible, but this season kind of makes it look like that. And I think one of the bigger reasons as to why the game is more enjoyable than it was in Season 1 is because there are now less teams on the map, and you do not get third-partied nearly as often. I've been third-partied 5 times in 40 hours. It feels a lot more like an extraction shooter. The main goal of a wipe is to reset the economy, put everybody on the same level, and make the new playthrough feel significantly different than last time. Sadly, the economy reset part did not really work out well, but at least the game feels fresh to play, a lot different experience than it was in Season 1.